Histrionic personality disorder is extreme attention seeking.
You broke my f***ing legs!
Oh, boo-hoo.
Often it's highly sexualized. I use my looks to get attention. I'm very flirtatious. I'm very aggressive. I believe that I'm overly familiar with people, that we're closer than we actually are.
Oh, hey, you're that singer no one listens to.
Hey, you're the ass no one likes.
I'm loud, I'm noisy, just everything is look at me.
I'm just a terrible person, I guess.
If you have been through a tough childhood, bad breakups, things where you feel alone, things where you feel rejected, things where you just want acceptance and community, trying to be the center of attention is only going to get you so far. What you really need is to give that to other people.
Because I'm Harley Quinn.
Margot Robbie, thank you for existing.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Therapy. I'm Jonathan Decker, licensed therapist, and I love movies.
I'm Alan Seawright, professional filmmaker who needs therapy, and this is...
Sophie, Téllez, local anti-hero. I didn't have time to come up with a good opening.
Does that mean you're an anti-hero or you're an anti and a hero?
I'm the anti-hero, I think, to you guys.
Okay, that's fair.
To your hero. Also, I have blue hair, and Jenna was like, you should be on Harley Quinn.
You're gonna have blue hair. So today we're gonna ask you once again to represent your entire gender. That's fair.
That seems reasonable.
All right, here we
No
go.
pressure.
We're gonna talk about Harley Quinn.
Love her.
We're gonna shut up. We are gonna talk about Harley Quinn, and it's gonna get salty up in here because we're gonna have a little bit of DC versus MCU going on.
Let there be carnage.
And I'm just gonna comment on the psychology of it. So let's dive in and look at Harley's story.
This is me, Harleen Quinzel. When I was a kid, my dad traded me for a six-pack of beer. But however many times he tried to ditch me, I kept coming back. Eventually, he
Talk to
found
me about this animation style.
The Good Sisters of St. Bernadette.
What do you love about
taught
it?
me a lot.
I'm not wearing my glasses because they reflect the lights.
I love that it's very Chuck Jones. Doesn't it look like when she smiled at him, that was kind of like the
I had my
Grinch.
heart broken once or twice.
It makes me think of
So I threw myself
not quite
into my work.
60s. Yeah,
Became a
I don't know. It makes me
It's-
think of the Jetsons
When I
almost.
met
Yeah.
him, Mr. J, my Joker.
I think it does. I think that having the animation does a good job of setting it apart from the other DC movies
Very much so.
and making it more hers, which I did like.
And also, since Suicide Squad wasn't too wonderfully received, it's like you don't need to have watched that. You could just jump in here.
Reset.
There's a badass broad. Well, that was me. I was the brains behind some of Mr. J's greatest stunts. Not that he let anyone know it.
Oh,
Guess all
typical.
good things have to come to an end. So, we broke up.
But here she is, and she's in this codependent relationship. Now, codependent means that one person needs the other, and then the other person needs to be needed. So she needs Mr. J. She comes to just need him and rely on him, and she can't breathe or survive without him. She's dependent on him for her psychological well-being because he's basically abused and tortured her and manipulated her and brainwashed her into this type of need. Literally physically tortured her. And he needs to be needed.
I just need to be needed.
Any of you who are romanticizing Harley and Joker, come see me or someone like me.
You need actual help.
We'll get you sorted out.
This week's episode is brought to you by him and me, by us. We're paying for it instead of someone else paying us to make you a thing.
That's right, Tiny. I want to tell you about Cinema Therapy Heroes. A lot of you ask, how can we support you?
We give you so much. How can you possibly give us something?
But people want to know how they can help support the show so that we can create more content for you.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a little mutual back scratching. The best way you can support us,
There will be no back scratching, no touchy.
but figuratively, it's on, and we're going to be all up in there. The idea was that what I give people in therapy, I wanted to give you those same skills, those same tools.
How do you do that, John?
Well, we have relationship courses on
do, and they're
conflict
great.
resolution, communication, parenting, couples foundations, step families, a million things.
He teaches them to me, and now I know how to not be terrible at life.
Here on the YouTube channel, you watch, you learn the skills, but our strength builders are actually, here's your application exercises, which is what a therapist would do for you in therapy. Here's how you take it home. And if you like our show, but you hate commercial interruptions, and you also just want more of us doing what we do,
There are director's cuts. It's like the show, but longer and always without ads. There's a lot that shouldn't be in the show, and it is on the director's cuts. So tune in for that. More of him, a lot more of me.
Because you always cut yourself out of the YouTube episodes
I
to make room
always
for the
cut
therapy
myself
stuff.
out. And it's
Did I
fun.
mention monthly live events? We do live watch parties, we do Q&As where we interact with you online. It's fantastic.
Cinema Therapy After Dark is a new thing that we're doing. Hang out with more of our crew as they mercilessly make fun of us. Go to thecinematherapy.com, that's
TheCinemaTherapy.com.
and use our code. There isn't one. Just sign up for our website and you can support us and you can get more stuff for you. Buy our thing. Buy it. You'll feel better.
Signing up for our membership site buys happiness. Maybe not yours, but definitely ours. TheCinemaTherapy.com. Woo! I want to talk about something called histrionic personality disorder. Histrionic personality disorder is extreme attention seeking. I need to be in the middle of everything. Often it's highly sexualized. I use my looks to get attention. I'm very flirtatious. I'm very aggressive. I believe that I'm overly familiar with people, that we're closer than we actually are. And I'm loud. I'm noisy. Like just everything is look at me, and it comes from this what?
Feeling a little seen by that one.
I see you.
And it's often correlated with, in childhood, having a neglectful or abusive relationship with your parents,
That tracks.
right? And so you're trying to fill that need over and over and over again to get acceptance and to get validation.
Yep.
And it can lead to a series of, as we saw in that little cartoon montage, of unhealthy, abusive relationships culminating in the absolute worst one. Let's take a look at how Harley demonstrates histrionic tendencies here. Center of the cage, framed.
Yeah. You mentioned hypersexualization. Interesting how Harley Quinn is hypersexualized, particularly when she's directed by male directors.
Big shock.
What?
You know the rules, hotness. You gotta keep off these bars.
I mean, it's also part of her character, but, you know.
Bars. Oh my God.
Yep, that is attention-seeking,
You are really in bad shape upstairs, lady.
extreme, inappropriate.
No, you're too scared. Come on, I'm bored. I'm bored. Play with me.
You put 5 of my guards in the hospital, honey. No one's gonna play with you. You sleep on the ground.
I sleep where I want, when I want, with who I want.
Now, she's manipulating him to come into the cage so she can attack him, but she also likes the attention, right? And she likes the power and the control. The unfortunate side effect of a patriarchal culture is that if you're a woman and you're smart or pretty or both, it can all be difficult, you know? And so a lot of times people, you know, they use what they have to get whatever power they have. Alan, you mentioned how sexualized she is when she's filmed and written by, you know, male filmmakers.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of that in this first film.
Margot Robbie suffers from what I have dubbed the Rachel McAdams curse. She's so pretty that no one takes her seriously as anything else. Margot Robbie is very funny and an exceptional actress.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
She's actually a Brad Pitt, is what she is. Rachel
Yeah.
McAdams is so pretty that no one takes her serious as a comedic actress. Brad Pitt is so pretty that nobody takes him seriously as a character actor, which is what Brad Pitt is.
Well,
It took him 20 years
people do a
to
little
break
bit more
through. Now
yeah.
they do. Margot Robbie is a character actress. She completely inhabits different characters in a way that is shocking, but she's so damn pretty that everybody's just like, ooh, pretty.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously that's played to the hilt here, partially for reasons of her character. Once we get to Birds of Prey, we'll see. You don't have to overly sexualize her. I mean, she's still sexy and is wearing, you know, weird costumes that are semi-revealing sometimes, but it's not like she's wearing underwear and let's gaze lovingly at her butt for, 20 seconds.
Thoughts? Male gazy or true to character or both?
It's more male gaze.
Yeah.
Yeah. I take a lot of issue with it.
Please.
I think we'll probably get into it more when we get into
Piss
the
off some
Prey.
people in the comments. You know who you
I
are.
will. I'm gonna get into some real feminism here.
Oh,
really split
boy.
the crowd.
Something tells me a whole lot of people are about to die.
I look at the original Suicide Squad, and it is definitely there's an ickiness to how she's filmed. There's an ickiness to like how she's dressed.
Well, there's a scene where aren't they like walking down that street and there's like a window that's bashed in, and she goes in to like reach for a purse.
And it's just
where
her...
like the character moment is she wants this thing, but that thing is completely out of focus, and it's just like riding on her ass.
It's just ass.
In this leather like bikini cut
that rides
shorts.
up and
like it's ridiculous.
And they threw that in the trailer, and the fanboys are like, "Oh, Harley Quinn!" Because they could have filmed that from a dozen different other angles and had the same character moment.
No, it was all they're all choices that were made. Yeah,
We're bad guys. It's what we do.
And it's interesting for me because I look at it two ways. Like on the one hand, it is very male gazy, but looking at the idea of the histrionic personality disorder, like she changes clothes in full view of everybody. Yeah. You know, she wears clothes that are meant to make her the center of attention. When she's in the club with Joker, she's on the dance floor dancing seductively, all eyes on her, and she knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
This is very often, like I said, it's tied to a need for validation. When Batman's trying to give her mouth to mouth and she tries to kiss him and then she laughs, like the movie's playing it like, oh, isn't Harley, you know, off her rocker? But this is, once again, I'm asserting control through my sexuality.
Yeah.
Part of histrionic personality disorder is being easily influenced by others for their approval, as well as thinking that your relationships with people are more serious than they actually are. So we're going to see a moment of this with Harley.
You want this?
I do.
Say it. Say it. Say it. Pretty.
So awkward.
Please.
Put a trigger warning before this.
Well, so people...
Warning, Jared Leto.
Just for Jared Leto.
Just got a Jared Leto warning.
Jared Leto jump scare.
Ah!
So here she's deliberately falling into toxic chemicals for his approval, for his acceptance, so that he'll choose her. And now he's about to walk away, like, whatever. And people think it's romantic that finally he's like, I'll go in after her. He's about to let her die. This is not a good relationship. This is not anything beautiful to emulate here. But yeah, that's great. And I like some of these shots. Like, there's something really... like, that's kind of cool. But she thinks this relationship is more serious than it actually is. And what it really is this is a relationship of convenience for him. When he wants her around, and this is true in Batman the Animated Series, this is true in the comics, when Joker wants her around, then he'll be nice to her. When he doesn't, he treats her terribly. And that's a consistent thing. But because she wants the validation so bad, because she wants the acceptance and the love so bad, she'll put up with all sorts of abuse to have these little moments.
Yeah.
Even if these little moments are, he's holding me and kissing me while my face is melting. No bueno. So back to what we were talking about before, between the male gaziness and all these histrionic features, really the first Suicide Squad film is the only one where she's full on histrionic, because what we're going to see afterwards is her journey out and her journey towards healing. We get to Birds of Prey, which I know you and I really liked. Alan
did not care for it.
Boo! Boo!
But of the three,
easily the least bad.
Gracias.
Passive-aggressive way of saying it was good. A good time. It wasn't good.
Well, but you like Margot Robbie in all of these.
I love Margot Robbie. Her performance is great. Ewan McGregor is super fun in Birds of Prey. Honestly, the biggest issue I had with it is the first third of the film in particular leans so heavily on narration. And I mean, it's there throughout, and most of it, almost all of it, is completely useless. I found a bunch of places where either a thing happens and then she narrates the thing that happened.
It took losing something I truly love for me to see that the target on my back was bigger than I thought.
Or she, as the narrator, says a thing and then it cuts to her saying the same thing in dialogue.
Yeah.
This is bad filmmaking. I'm sorry. There's no excuse for this.
So this is the difference between a film goer and a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Because a filmmaker is going to be like, oh, come on.
Why are you telling me this twice? You're punching me in the face with it.
And I watched it and I'm like, this movie's super fun.
Yeah. Being a good time makes up for it being bad. Because I agree. It is a very valid point. Like the whole beginning, narratively, it's just all over the place. It's very
it's
slapdash.
A
mess.
But I enjoyed that energy.
Yeah, but like the whole energy of it makes up for it, in my opinion. Like I didn't enjoy it. I still had an enjoyable time. Like I was still like,
Well, and it's the only one that was written and directed by women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
You can tell
Yeah.
in so many ways.
Uh-huh.
First of all, they chose Ewan McGregor, who was one of my first loves, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's not a party without a little drama, am I right?
Birds of Prey is a tale of liberation. Joker's broken her heart, and she's going to make a clean start.
Cleanish.
She had good intentions.
There's lots of just
Relatable.
really fun little details in this movie.
I was back on my feet, ready to move on, to make new friends.
See, and a lot of the narration, like, there's good jokes in the narration, but, like...
Overall, just doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Written and directed by women, but do you know who the action director was?
Yes, Chad.
Chad!
I remember how to
The
say his
world's
last
greatest
name.
Chad.
We're gonna
This
do
is the
John
Chad.
Wick.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna force my way into those episodes because I
absolutely.
love John Wick.
John Wick is fantastic. Chad Stahelski, co-director of the first John Wick. He second unit directs a ton of stuff. He was the second unit director for this, and fight coordinator, choreographer.
Which is why the action is so good in John Wick. And he
Yeah,
coordinated
and why the
in
action is
this.
so good in
Yeah.
this. And that's, the thing that when Megan and I were watching it, we're watching along and it's like some mediocre, like meandery narrative stuff. And then an action scene starts and like a little brutal for my taste, but shockingly good.
Yeah.
Shockingly good.
Yeah, seriously great fight scenes. And
Very surprising.
For Harley's character, she learns to actually love and enjoy herself, and then she starts to make relationships. And I think that's really healthy. So
yeah.
she starts with catharsis. So she does roller derby and just beats the crap out of people, which is a great way to deal with a breakup and self-loathing.
Cinema therapy recommended.
Aren't born to stand on their own. Oh, girl, let's drink. Come on.
I knew I needed to find some way to show the world that I'd cut ties with Mr. J for good.
Harley!
So talk to me a little
Some
bit.
people have the Eiffel Tower or Olive Garden. The Joker
Or
and
Olive
I
Garden.
love blooms
Okay,
in a highly
again,
toxic
the narration,
industrial
mostly
processing
pointless.
plant.
There's a bunch of great jokes in it.
I enjoy the narration mostly because I enjoy Margot Robbie narrating.
Anytime she can talk is good.
And luckily for me, I have all my best ideas drunk.
The best idea.
See, I think her saying something in the narration and saying it in the
That's
film
the
is-
only time it works.
Yeah, because it's meant to be funny there. Like
Really works well there. You cherry picked me. Decker, come on. So, talk to me about, this is basically as revealing an outfit as the previous film. Why is this not, like, skanky grossness?
First of all, I would describe this look particularly as like manic party girl.
Yeah.
It's just got that whole vibe. But it's also, well, especially later, we're gonna get into like her other costume where she has her shirt that just says Harley Quinn over and over. Right? And so you start with like the first, Suicide Squad, where she has those tiny little shorts, which I'm the kind of person that says wear what you want,
Sure.
It's not always attention seeking. Sometimes it's what you're comfortable in. In this particular case, she is attention seeking. It's a different.
Yeah.
But she has a shirt that says like Daddy's Little Monster, stuff like that. And so it's very like she is branded as his,
By the way, I just love the look
color.
of this explosion. Not remotely realistic. I just love that it's all candy colored.
And
So much of
literally
this
the
movie.
basis for this week's popcorn flavor, the Sour Power.
Sour Power. It's an explosion of flavor in your mouth.
You can have 2, 4, or 6 different flavors delivered to your door every month, including the flavors that we're having on the show eat in the same week. Let's try the Sour Power. Oh my gosh.
Lisa'sPopcorn.com/cinematherapy. You too can feel that.
It's not bad, just really sour.
It is very sour.
One of the things I really liked about Birds of Prey, where you see that desexualization and like the whole thing is about her like regaining ownership of herself, right? So like I had mentioned earlier with the Harley shirt, it goes from Daddy's Little Monster to like Harley Quinn, like it's her, she's herself again.
Oh, no, not that one. Sentimental value.
The filmmaking in general, her fight in the prison is like a big one for me because she's in a white shirt, she's in these little shorts, whatever. And none of the action, because it starts, the sprinklers go off at some point, and none of the action is like zoomed in on like, she's in a white shirt, like that's a good
wet,
broad moment. It's not about
It's
that.
not
It's
about
about
that
the
ever.
action. It's wide shots. It's not. And so there's just a lot.
This is the beginning of her turn. But between eating the easy cheese and crying and then going and fighting, with histrionic personality disorder, you see rapid emotional shifts and the emotions tend to be shallow.
Sure.
Right? So she goes from sorrow to rage and it's all just like all over the place. You also see big theatrical emotional expressions, and they make a point of saying in this film that Harley, just by blowing up that factory, updated her relationship status, right? That's her way to publicly update her relationship status. If driving a truck into a chemical plant isn't a giant emotional expression, I don't know what is. But it is the beginning of her claiming her own story. She's saying during that scene, I am my own woman now, right? I'm going to start my own life. And even though it puts a target on her back, it's a moment of emancipation. It's a moment of empowerment.
For sure.
And for the rest of the film, she's trying to discover who she is. So how would I help somebody in therapy with histrionic personality disorder? The first thing is to start with cognitive behavioral therapy.
Okay.
Which is assessing your thinking and behavior.
Right.
And making changes. Instead of looking into the environment or looking to what you look inside yourself and to say, what choices am I making that have got me here, and how can I do things differently? So she breaks free from Joker. I mean, he broke up with her, but she broke free from him psychologically. She goes into business for herself. She stands up to Ronan, right? She starts making all these different decisions. But it's one thing to take the steps, and it's another thing to make it stick when it counts. And Harley finds herself a very devastatingly handsome man who's going to make her rich and apparently make her happy in the Suicide Squad, and this is what happens.
Well, it must be a big relief to got it in your hands now, huh?
Absolutely. Now,
Just the tiniest
will be fearful. If anyone dares to say a negative word about their new presidente, their parents, their children, and anyone they ever loved will be sent to Jotunheim to feed the beast.
I'm sorry. I forgot she did it right then.
Recently, I made a promise to myself that the next time I got a boyfriend, I'd be on the lookout for red flags. And if I saw any, I would do the healthy thing. And I would murder him. And killing kids, it's kind of a red flag. I know what you're trying to say. Harley, why not just leave? And I'd say, why are you screaming at me? I'm not deaf, I'm standing right here. When your taste in men is as bad as mine, they don't just go away quietly. They slash your tires and they kill your dogs and tell you that the music you like ain't real music at all. And
that's comparable.
That's such a James Gunn feeling line, though.
Tears you apart after a while.
Oh, man. Okay.
No, go for it.
Okay. Margot Robbie, thank you for existing.
You're welcome.
She's so funny and so weird, and just thank you for gracing us with your presence.
When we say earlier that Birds of Prey is written and directed by women, and you can tell, I meant that as a compliment.
Absolutely, yeah.
Why is it important that we have female voices writing and directing? What does it mean for the movies? Like, you could see the difference in these two male directed versus the female one.
I have a very conflicted relationship with superhero movies in general.
Get up on that soapbox.
Yeah, okay.
Breach.
I think Marvel's overrated. Do I enjoy it? Yes. I think the writing's not very deep.
We disagree,
DC
but that's okay.
also not great. But I think that directors are allowed to have their own voices in those. That's my opinion. The only superhero movie that I truly love is Chronicle. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
I love Chronicle.
It's great.
Chronicle's
okay? It's
fantastic.
Great. Talk about that later. But especially for superhero ones, because I remember when Captain Marvel came out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it's just feminist agenda. It's so overtly, did it have to be so overtly feminist? All this stuff. And I was like, okay, but what is every other superhero movie?
Yeah.
You know,
it's overtly male hero.
Yeah,
fantasy.
you can have the Fast and the Furious. We can have this.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's not. We don't have it in this genre specifically, and in any genre, but this one, because this is such a large one right now, and it's kind of a dominant one. I think it's important that we have these, and I know Margot Robbie really pushed for.
Well, she's a producer on Birds of Prey. She
was the
literally
one,
took ownership of it. She
it.
owns that movie.
Yeah, even if it's not good, again, Fast and the Furious, if you can have that, we can have this, It's a lot, and it's, it slap you in the face or whatever, but, it's for the girls.
Yeah.
And if you're offended by that,
well, look,
that's your problem.
Not everything has to be for you, too, dudes.
Yeah.
Why does a movie about Harley Quinn have to be for you?
It was for us. It's for the gays and the girls.
A man and a woman.
Why the gays?
Because they all love Margot Robbie.
Oh, okay. That's fair. She's an icon.
Yeah.
She is queen.
I'm not gay, but like... Margot, if you're seeing this.
Oh my gosh. The next thing I would do with Harley therapeutically is functional analytic therapy.
Okay.
Which is taking a look at your interpersonal relationships, your choices in interpersonal relationships, and making changes. She starts to take ownership. She apologizes to the young girl that she was looking out for trying to sell her. You know, she kills this guy so that he can't kill children, even though they could have been a major power couple. She's saying, this is not what I want for my life anymore. And that's what functional analytic therapy does. And then she lands in this place of where I would guide Harley to a group of people who are struggling with the exact same thing and are helping each other through it.
I think I know where we're headed.
They're all here for me. Aren't they?
No.
They're not?
No, they're not. Do you know what that means? That means he's not just after the kid anymore. He's after all of us. Sure as hell after me. I just robbed him. You just betrayed him. You just killed his BFF. And you're dumb enough to be building a case against him. So, unless we all want to die very unpleasant deaths and let Roman go finger fishing in the kid's intestinal tract, we're gonna have to work together.
With you?
Yeah. We're gonna work together and we'll get out of here in one piece, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
So the biggest healing comes from not having to be the center of attention anymore. Finding your fulfillment not from the focus or from the praise or from the admiration, but from actually looking out for one another. And Harley finds this here. She finds this when she takes the young pickpocket under her wing is actually the most healing thing for her in her entire arc.
Consider this your first lesson. Paying is for dummies.
But also taking part in the suicide squads, the two different ones, where she creates a surrogate family. And I was somebody, I don't know that I would have made the full diagnosis, but I was definitely somebody who sought and craved validation and acceptance.
Yeesh, kebab. That is childhood trauma right there.
What's interesting is the more I sought it, the more it eluded me. But the more I tried to give it, the more I got it in return.
Hmm.
And so that's what's healing for Harley, and that's what's healing for anyone who's struggling with histrionic personality disorder, is if you have been through a tough childhood, bad breakups, things where you feel alone, things where you feel rejected, things where you just want acceptance and community, trying to be the center of attention is only going to get you so far. In fact, it's probably going to shoot you in the foot. What you really need is to give that to other people.
Another big thing for me about this movie is the diversity in the cast. Like, yes, it's led by a white woman, you know, but like having a black woman and an Asian girl and a Hispanic woman is like a huge thing for me because like I don't see myself represented in films a lot. You know, like I didn't have a Disney princess to look at for a while, you know, like a Hispanic one. And that, and it also being directed by like an Asian woman. I'm not Asian, I'm Latina, but like any movement that a woman of color is making in the industry is a movement for all women of color. You know, for any minority. And like we should be celebrating that, which is why this movie is to me so important, you know, more for the cultural impact than like the screenplay was not great, you know, like
well, and that's not whoa.
You both mentioned to me after the fact that the screenplay wasn't great, and I'm like, yeah, I guess that's true, but I didn't notice when I was watching it because I was just enjoying it.
Neither did I the first time. Listen, you watch a movie twice, once to enjoy it, the second time to understand and like analyze. Like,
I can do those at the same time because I've been doing this for so long that my brain is broken.
What I don't get though is I'll go soapbox on this, sure. Why any white males would be threatened? Like people, this movie came out and there were haters.
Once they're seeing that, like, wait, I'm not like the attention, I'm not the center of the world, and you know, and
maybe these dudes have histrionic personality disorder.
What? Oh, that's a wrap.
I can't believe you've done this.
All right.
I have no idea. I'm not a psychologist.
So until next time.
I have all my best ideas when I'm drunk.
You make me want to be a better person.
Ew.
And
watch movies. With your brain turned on, or not.
Kiss may be grand, but it won't pay the rental on your humble flat.
Or help you at the automat. Are you dummies still sitting there?